A year ago, Sky survived a terrible car crash. Her boyfriend, Paul, died instantly at the scene. The trauma from that accident left her struggling during every rehearsal. To numb the pain, she began relying on pills and alcohol, and the one supplying her drugs was a dealer named Lewis. That day, Lewis went inside to grab his stash but didn't make a sound for a long time. Curious, Sky leaned closer to check. Suddenly, Lewis burst out of the room in terror, as if he had seen something horrifying. He collapsed to the floor, his mouth wide open, unable to make a sound. Then came an even creepier sight. Lewis stood up again, wearing a chilling, twisted smile. The moment Lewis died, the curse shifted onto Sky. Her first instinct was to call the police, but she quickly realized she had no way to explain what happened, so she pretended she'd never been there and ran away. That night, when she got home, she thought she saw Lewis's shadow standing in the dark. Sky couldn't tell if it was a hallucination or the beginning of something much worse. The next day, during a magazine shoot, she suddenly remembered throwing up at the scene, worried that her DNA might be left behind. She searched online for what to do. Right then, an anonymous text popped up asking if she'd been to Lewis's house. Her heart skipped a beat. Behind her, a strange sound echoed. She turned toward the mirror and Lewis was standing right behind her. Sky screamed and jolted awake, realizing it was only a nightmare, but what she didn't know was that the real nightmare had just begun. At her fan meet and greet, she ran into an overly enthusiastic fan. After signing his autograph and taking a photo, the man began taunting her non-stop. As his emotions spiraled out of control, security quickly stepped in to separate them. Watching the man's unstable behavior, Sky rushed backstage to calm herself down. After a short break, she reluctantly walked back to the event. A little girl with a fixed smile was walking toward her. Sky greeted her warmly, but the girl stayed silent. That eerie smile never faded. Even during the photo, the girl just stared straight into Sky's eyes. What was worse, Sky realized no one else seemed to notice anything strange. All these bizarre events began to crush Sky's nerves. She tried calling her old friend Gemma to talk, but the call didn't go through, so she left a message. Luckily, Gemma called back soon after, saying she'd come over as soon as she could. While waiting for her, the strange incidents didn't stop. A water bottle on the table suddenly shattered by itself. Then, the crazed fan's t-shirt mysteriously appeared in the hallway, each piece tossed across the floor. Panicked, Sky ran to the door. When she opened it, Gemma was standing outside, and just like that, everything inside the house looked perfectly normal again. Even the broken bottle was back on the table. Sky was terrified, but afraid of being seen as crazy. She claimed she was just tired and hadn't rested well. Gemma could tell something was wrong. After repeated questioning, Sky finally confessed everything about that night at Lewis's house. To comfort her, Gemma decided to stay the night. Late that night, Sky choked up, saying she felt alone and terrified no one could understand her pain. Moments later, Gemma walked out from the kitchen, but when Sky looked at the clock, it was already 8:30 in the morning. Panic set in. Today was rehearsal day for her big concert. She rushed to the venue, where the crew had been waiting for hours. The moment she stepped on stage, Sky came alive with passion, but in the middle of her performance, something went terribly wrong. That same obsessed fan suddenly appeared again. Startled, Sky fell off balance and injured her leg, yet when the lights came back on, there was no wound at all. She tried blaming one of the dancers, but the stage manager insisted it was Sky's own mistake. Frustrated and speechless, she stormed off stage. In the hallway, she ran into her assistant, who was staring at her with that same eerie smile. Inside the dressing room, chaos awaited. Everything was trashed. Sky assumed it was her assistant's doing and yelled at her furiously. Even Sky's mother defended the assistant, saying she'd been with her all day and couldn't have caused any of it. Sky confessed that she wasn't in a good mental state and wanted to postpone her tour, but her mother refused. Not only would the tour continue as planned, Sky also had to attend the charity gala that night. The event was small, no reporters, no media. Sky thought she just had to read from the teleprompter and leave, but right before stepping on stage, she received another mysterious text. Just then, a small insect landed near her mouth. Annoyed, she swatted it away, smudging her lipstick. She didn't even have time to fix it. She just wanted the night to be over. Halfway through her speech, the teleprompter suddenly froze. Sky had no choice but to improvise, pouring her heart out. When the screen resumed, she continued reading, only to realize she had just spoken her late boyfriend Paul's name. The crowd gasped in shock. Then she saw him, Paul, sitting among the audience, walking toward the stage with that same unsettling smile. She closed her eyes and opened them again. He was gone. Sky returned to her apartment. The mysterious sender messaged again. "You're in danger. I can help you." He insisted that what she saw wasn't a hallucination. He also sent a video Lewis had recorded before he died. It turned out Lewis had experienced the same horror. Sky finally agreed to meet the mysterious man in a bar. His name was Morris. He said he had long suspected something was wrong with Lewis. By tracking Lewis's phone, he found Sky the last person Lewis had contacted. Then Morris revealed the truth. There was a supernatural entity that disguised itself as a smiling person. Only those cursed could see it. It fed on the host's mind like a parasite. Within 7 days, it would force the victim to end their own life in front of a witness completing the curse transfer. Now, Morris proposed a bold plan. He wanted Sky to fake her own death before the curse took effect. In theory, that could break the chain. If her heart stopped briefly, he could bring her back once the demon vanished. By this time, Sky had already been cursed for 3 days. The entity was starting to control her mind. If they didn't act tonight, there would be no chance left. Before they could finish the conversation, someone recognized Sky in the bar. Afraid of drawing attention, she had no choice but to leave quickly. Back home, Sky couldn't bring herself to go through with it, so she decided to leave the city. But as she packed her suitcase, her back injury suddenly flared up. Panicking, she rummaged through drawers for painkillers. Her emotions collapsed completely. In a fit of despair, she yanked out a handful of her own hair. When she finally calmed down and dragged her suitcase toward the door, shadows began to twist and surround her. Trapped with nowhere to run, Sky was pinned in place. In the chaos, her head slammed hard against the piano, her scalp tore open. Then a thick, grotesque arm forced its way down her throat. When Sky opened her eyes again, she found herself lying in a hospital bed. Her mother had found her unconscious at home and brought her in. The doctor said she had a mild concussion, severe exhaustion, and dehydration. Sky insisted something was terribly wrong with her body and begged for rest. But her mother refused to listen. She didn't ask what Sky had been through. Instead, she complained that years of effort were being ruined by her daughter's selfishness. Heartbroken, Sky fought back in anger. Then, her mother's expression suddenly changed. That eerie smile spread across her face. The situation spiraled out of control. Her mother smashed the mirror with a single punch. Sky screamed and rushed toward the door only to find a shard of glass clenched in her own hand. Her hospital gown was soaked in blood. Terrified, she stumbled back into the room and saw her mother lying in a pool of red. The one who had killed her was Sky herself. Forcing herself to stay calm, Sky planned to escape the hospital. But in the hallway, she ran into her assistant. The moment the assistant saw the blood on her clothes, she screamed for help. Security guards rushed in. Sky grabbed one of their guns in the chaos and bolted through the exit.
Hey.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, get out of my fucking car!
She reunited with Morris not long after and handed him the gun. If something goes wrong during the fake death, she said, just pull the trigger. They broke into an abandoned building to carry out the plan. The key was the walk-in freezer. Once the heart stops, the brain loses oxygen fast. Cells begin dying within 2 minutes, but lowering the body's temperature could slow the process by up to 9 minutes. Morris placed a thermometer in Sky's mouth. I'll grab something real quick, he said, then turned and left. The freezer door had barely closed when drops of blood began dripping from the ceiling. Sky looked up and saw herself from the car crash a year ago. Panicking, she reached for the syringe of sedative meant for the fake death, but it was just out of reach. Then the demon appeared and cut the power. Its lifeless eyes stared straight at her. It slammed her against the wall and forced her mouth open. Sky bit down hard, tearing off its fingers and jabbed the needle into her own chest. The demon sneered. "This isn't real," it whispered. Sky's heart sank. The syringe in her hand disappeared. It had all been another illusion. She stumbled out of the freezer. The demon didn't follow, only mocked her from the shadows. "Go ahead," it said. "Enjoy the world outside while you can." Then the door slammed shut behind her. In the blink of an eye, Sky was standing on stage during her world tour. Even her mother, who had died, was alive again, clapping in the front row. Reality and hallucination had completely merged. Across the stage, another version of herself appeared. That version ripped open its clothes and tore apart its abdomen. A monstrous creature crawled out and shoved its hand deep into Sky's throat, forcing a twisted smile onto her face. Of course, all of this was happening only inside her mind. In reality, Sky had simply collapsed on stage. A few minutes later, she suddenly stood up again, facing thousands of screaming fans. She smiled eerily. Then, under the spotlight, she began smashing her head with the microphone. Right there, before everyone's eyes, Sky ended her life. The fake death plan had failed completely. And the worst part this time, there were tens of thousands of witnesses. Had the curse already spread to the entire crowd?